Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois, and I have 3 alternative cards to this month's paper pumpkin kit, which is called Filled with Joy. I also designed a tag, and that tag actually is used on one of the cards, so you can use it by itself or as part of a card. I have used the stamps from the kit, and that's it, so that if you wanted to make the stockings the way they come, you can, and use all of the components that come with the kit. There are just a couple of extra things, and so I have designed cards using the stamps. I hope you like them. Let's get started. And as you know, if you've received the kit, it's meant to make 8 stockings. And what I've done is use components other than what are included in the kit, just some extras, and the stamps, of course, obviously, and a few other things. The dies that are companions to this month's kit, as well as last month's and next month's, called Merry Tags and More Dies. We'll be using 2 of those. So that basically, if you wanted to, you can complete those stockings just as they are and create cards and tags in addition to that. So remember to double check that you have everything. Here is a picture of the dies again. And then of course your insert that shows you which stamps are in the kit that you can use either to fold in half and put your stamps inside, or as I do, cut this part, and I made it a little booklet so that I can reference stamps so that I'm still using them even after the kit is done. And actually we are going to be using a stamp from a 2020 kit on one of today's cards, so look for that too. All right, let's get started. All right, here is the tag that I made from the kit, and I'm going to show you how to put this same or a similar tag on a card. I purposely used a different color palette. So the blues, I used Balmy blue for the cardstock and for one of the stamps, and then for all of these. And then this is Balmy blue, sorry, this is Pool Party, and then this one is Azure Afternoon, so that it's a different color palette. You can use, I had some white twine left over from a previous kit, but you can also use the Baker's Twine Essentials, I believe is what it's called. Yes, you can use the Baker's Twine Essentials pack. There's white in there, so you could use that if you've run out of twine from previous kits. So that is the way to make the tag. I did also use, this is the ornament topper is from the silver foil sheets. And we'll be using some other, the gold foil sheets, and then another DSP, a specialty DSP for the toppers on the upcoming cards. But that is the tag. So clearly you could, and the way I did it, I took one of the ornaments from the kit, flipped it over, and then just traced it on basic white and cut it out. So this is a similar one. We're actually going to use it on the card coming up. And so that's all I did. Trace it, cut it out. And then I stamped with stamps from the kit, and you're going to see that on the next card. So I will be showing you that, but that's basically how the tag was made. And I'm going to take that out of the way and then bring in the card. So, and I did actually another tag, and that's what we're going to use as the basis for the card today. So same thing, very similar. I just moved the ornament down and I used a different one from the kit, the one that I just showed you, but same idea. Used Real Red and Shaded Spruce with the stamps from the kit to decorate it, and then the same thing. This is all actually in Shaded Spruce. And then I had my Baker's Twine, which is the Real Red and White Baker's Twine. And the same thing, I used a gold foil sheet for this to cut out the ornament topper. And using the same idea as the ornament, I traced it, which I'll show you in a minute. I took one from the kit and traced it on to the back of the gold foil sheet. So we'll leave this here for reference, but we're going to turn it into a card like I said. So I'm going to start with a basic white card base. And then I've got a sheet from the Take a Bow Designer Series paper. Take a bow actually, because you can make bows out of it with the companion dies that come with the bundle. And I cut it to the same size as the card front, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. and there's no real direction. You know, we could use it either way. It's kind of personal preference. We're going to put that on with some multi-purpose liquid glue just to make a nice background. So clearly you can use any kind of DSP that you would like, and just then use the coordinating colors for your tag. We'll let that dry a little bit, put that aside. And I already have cut, this is from the die that comes with the companion die set, the Mary Tags and More dies. And I've cut that to use as the basis for my tag. Since, like I said, I decided not to use any components from the kit. If you decided not to make the stockings or not to put the tags on the stockings, you could clearly use those components that are in the kit to make the tags if you wanted to. And so again, I took basic white, and I can show you how I did it. Let me just get a scrap here. And so I used the ornament from the kit and just traced around. And I actually put the flat part toward the edge of my basic white. Grab a pencil and trace around. It's as simple as this. This is what I did for every card because I made use of those tags. And I probably will put the stockings together. So I did not, that was the other reason I didn't want to use the components from the kit. And then I just cut that out. You don't need to, for me to show you how to do that because you know how to do it. And so then you end up with a piece like this. And we're going to flip it over. You see the pencil marks? If we flip it over, then we don't even have to erase them. So now I'm going to put this aside for now. We're going to do some stamping on this. And because I don't have my chamois wet, we're going to use a scrap. I usually will just stamp right on my glass mat, but today we're going to stamp on a scrap, some grid paper. And actually this helps too because, well, either way, you could line it up. We're going to use the lines on the grid paper, or if you're using your glass mat, you use the lines obviously on the mat. All right, so I started with this stamp. And we're going to stamp it in real red. And so I'm using the lines, like I said, on the grid paper to line it up to make sure that it's straight, or reasonably straight. And I'm going to keep that aside because we're going to bring in shaded spruce, because I did not stamp the second one till I had done the other ones in shaded spruce. So let's bring in the next stamp and the shaded spruce. And this one I had to be careful because the first time when I didn't get it even pressure, it was thicker at one end and thinner at another. So beware of that, just give it nice even pressure. Again, lining it up to be straight. Up at the top, and then I'm going to leave this handy as well. We'll leave it over here, or actually I'm going to need that block, so we are going to clean that. And we'll leave the stamp here and bring in the last one, the little snowflakes, and one more time line it up. And now that we have done that, we can continue the pattern. And actually on this one I didn't, and I'm going to do the same thing I did on this. Normally I would stamp this down here, but I decided to alternate the red and green. I'm going to ink that up. And then we're going to switch this out with this one. And do it at the bottom. And so now we have our ornament decorated. So we'll put that aside and then bring our tag back. And let me show you, well, we'll do the rest of our stamping before we make our little topper for the ornament. So I know I'm going to lay this like this. I have a stamp again from the kit. Again, even pressure on this because I did the first couple times I had used it. It didn't stamp it completely because I didn't use enough pressure all equally around it. And this time, instead of the to and from, or the from Santa, sorry, I'm going to stamp sending lots of cheer. like that. So then our tag is ready. And while I have the green, we're going to use that for the inside of the car as well. So we'll get the red out of the way. Or maybe, actually, this is what we're going to do. We are going to keep both of them, because we are going to stamp Merry Christmas on the inside in that real red. Stamp it right up at the top. And then we're going to use our little snowflake, and we're going to stamp that in the shaded spruce to add some interest. And our stamping on is done. I'm going to grab that baker's twine, and we're just going to take, probably don't need as much as on this one. I made it a little bit longer so that you could tie it to a bow or to your package in some way, but for the being on the front of the card, we just need a shorter one. And we are going to feed it from the front to the back of the tag. Like that. We will put this on with some multi-purpose or some Stampin' Seal. Like this. And then we just need to make our topper. And so like I said, I've got a scrap of the gold foil sheets, and I have one of the ornament toppers that comes with the kit. Grabbing my pencil again, and the same thing as with the ornament, I just traced around. And including the middle. Whoops. And then just cut it out. And it's great with the paper snips that you can get in there and just cut that out pretty easily. If you had regular scissors, it would not work. So then I cut it out just like this. And then just pierce it with my snips and trim around the inside. And then I just put this on with glue dots, which come with the kit, or you could use regular mini glue dots. And then we'll put the tag on the card, just kind of centered at an angle. And we can even bump it up. I think I'll bump it up with dimensionals this time. The foam adhesive strips would also work great for this. And we'll take the paper off and place it here, like I said. And there we have card number 1. And actually, I did forget on the envelope, I'm just going to stamp Merry Christmas in the red. Here is the next card that I designed, and I'm going to make one little tweak with the stamping. I did some after the fact, and I'm going to make one little tweak to that. So I'm going to put it aside so we can get started. I have a basic white card base. And actually for this one, For this, I used the same Take a Bow Designer Series paper, and for this card, I'm going to use the Reindeer Days Designer Series paper, just to show you can use whatever you have on hand. So I've already cut a strip, and it is 1¼ inches by 4¼ and that's going to go right here on the edge. So we'll put that on with some multi-purpose liquid glue. I used the same technique. I took 3 different ornaments that come with the kit and traced them on, this time on the back of these Designer Series papers that come with the Reindeer Days Designer Series paper pack. So the tracing's on the back so that we don't have to worry about even erasing any lines. So, and you can see they're not centered, and that was kind of purposeful. If you wanted to center them, then I would recommend tracing them on the front and then erasing your lines when you're done. I also traced 3 of the ornament toppers, but this time, instead of using the gold foil sheet, I used the dry brushed metallic specialty DSP. I'll show you what I did. I took this sheet, and you can see I cut them from the bottom, from the areas where there's just, I think it's actually copper rather than gold, but I really liked the look of it, and I wanted to see if there would be a difference because this paper is a little thinner than the gold foil sheets, and I saw that they kind of got a little crinkly as I cut them out, as you can see from here. So I do think it's pretty similar. I think either way, you sort of have to deal with a little bit of crinkle, unless you are using what comes with the kit. So, and then I just line them up and put them on with my Stampin' seal. Starting at the bottom end and overlapping them a little bit. And this time we're going to put this one in the middle. So I guess that's another little tweak I made. Maybe we'll do this. And then these again with dimensionals. And then this time I stamped the Merry Christmas in the shaded Spruce. And I took the stars stamp from the kit, and we're going to stamp that in real red. But this time, because of the way the stars go, I'm going to align them, just 2 of them, around the Merry Christmas this way. This way. And then because I do like my 3s, I'm going to put the other one down here. And then I think again that Merry Christmas, because I have the real red handy, we'll do it in red on the envelope. If you want to match it, you could do it in the shaded Spruce. And then on the inside, I stamped Sending Lots of Cheer. So we'll take that out of the way. And we'll use that shaded Spruce again. And we're going to do the stars again. So we'll move the shaded Spruce and use that real red. And we'll just leave 2 this time. Yeah, I like that better. I like the stars with just 2 here and then 1 there. And then I did also, for the first card, I put some DSP on the back. So I've got a strip of DSP. It's about 2.5 inches wide by about 5 3/4 inches long. I'm going to put some glue on the back of the envelope flap and then lay it down so that it's flush with the top and the left hand side. Make sure that glue catches, and then we just trim around the edge. And then the other thing you want to do is just make sure that sometimes the corners like this one pull up. Take just a little bit of that multi-purpose liquid glue and put it there so that it doesn't get caught in the mailing machines at the post office, because that would not be good. And then do the same thing with both sides. So that is card number 2. And I'll show you quickly the DSP that I use to make them. This is the Reindeer Days DSP. And these are the other sides, which I used obviously these two for this card. But there are some other good options. I love this one. And if I were to cut out an ornament, I would definitely center that little guy on there. And then the Take a Bow paper is 6x6, and there are 8 designs. And then the other sides. And that is it for card number 2. This is the last card that I designed. And it was actually, it's the last one I'm going to show you, but it was the first one I designed, and it is my favorite, I will say. When I saw those ornaments, I knew right away I wanted to do that. That is, again, a stamp from the kit. And I decided to use Cherry Cobbler for this one, so Cherry Cobbler and Shaded Spruce. So again, this is Cherry Cobbler, and it's the size of the card front, 4.5 by 5.25 inches. And we'll put that on with some multi-purpose liquid glue. And we'll put that aside. I cut out the Mary Mary with the die that comes with the add-on dies. So one in Cherry Cobbler and one in Shaded Spruce. And then I have a piece of basic white, and this is 4 inches by 5.25, so it is first layer size for the card. And for the stamp, I used my Stampin' Right markers for the ornament. Do not use your blends. It will ruin your stamp. You need to use the Stampin' Right markers. And so I decided I wanted all of the bows to be in Cherry Cobbler. And then I alternated the colors of the stamps, of the ornaments, sorry. So I have three bows. And then we'll do the middle one. And you want to keep your marker pretty much parallel to your stamp. Color that in. And then I'm going to grab Shaded Spruce. And then I started from one end. And I'm going to clean my stamp in between, because I'm going to now use the Real Red on these two and the Cherry Cobbler on these two and the Shaded Spruce on this one. So make sure you clean your stamp in between. And obviously, if it's easier, you can just do them in all one color and use your ink pad for that. Again, with any color combination that you prefer. And I actually am going to clean this one because it looks like I have red inside where the swirls are, and I'm going to clean it. It shouldn't make a difference, but I'm going to clean it just in case. You do want to be a little bit careful of that. And again, that's another reason you want to keep your marker parallel so that it doesn't get as filled in. Oh, maybe it's going to anyway. Well, we'll see. And if you're not sure, you can do what I'm going to do right now and do a test run on a scrap. Get a cleaner one. And yeah, it still shows the little loops. So I will color the rest and finish this and be right back. Just 2 things to remember when you do that. Make sure you get good coverage with ink on the stamp. And it might be easiest to do the middle one first, since that's a different color, and then do the outside one so you can rotate the stamp. And then next we're going to take that Shaded Spruce ink pad and we're going to stamp the word Christmas. And this is where I got this stamp because I wanted a large one. Actually, we're going to move this aside. We need the marker again because it says Merry Christmas. This stamp comes from the Joy to the World paper pumpkin kit from October of 2020. So I wanted, again, the word Christmas to be large. And so I'm going to take my Shaded Spruce marker and just color the word Christmas and skip the word Merry because I'm using the Merry Mary from the dies. So same thing with your marker, pretty much parallel to the stamp. You don't want to ruin the tip. Get some good ink coverage. And I can see I got a little spot of ink on, sorry about that, on the word Mary. Let's see if we can get that off. Hopefully that's good. And I guess if you wanted to, though, if you wanted 3 Marys, you could stamp the whole thing with your ink instead of using your markers. And if you don't have that October 2020 kit, wow, that Mary left an impression. Little strange, but maybe we'll put a gem there or something, we'll see. Hopefully you can't see it. Hopefully if no one looks too closely, but there's like an impression from the word Mary a little bit. Well, that's okay. I think that's going to be okay. Anyway, if you don't have that stamp, you can use anything that says Christmas. If it says Merry Christmas, you can use the word Merry if you want and just stamp it then, or ink it in your ink pad rather than using your marker. And, you know, the choice is yours. So the other thing we're going to do, and the reason that I do have that ink pad out, is I'm going to grab a sponge dauber, and I have them dedicated to each color. This is green, the one for greens. And I just inked around the edge because I wanted a little bit of that definition to make a contrast with the cherry cobbler background, or matte. And then on the inside, I stamped Sending Lots of Cheer, again in the Shaded Spruce. So we'll ink that up. I'm gonna put this aside here just for a minute. And there we have that on the inside. So the inside is done. I didn't add any extra embellishment. I thought about stamping these. Maybe if I did, I would do it on this side, but I don't know. I think I liked it better just like that. So I left it. So that is the inside, and that is, oh, let's see. And for the envelope, I stamped Merry Christmas. So we'll grab that one more time. So we'll move this out of the way and stamp Merry Christmas. And then our envelope is done, and all of our stamping is done. And I've purposely given those edges a little bit of time to dry. I'm still going to be careful. You can see I've got a little bit of Shaded Spruce on me, so I'm going to be a little bit careful when I put this on here. But we'll put the words Merry Mary on first. I did, before I cut them out, put an adhesive, or run them through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Before I did that, I put an adhesive sheet on the back, because that makes it much easier. And I usually just start at one end And go to the other side. And the same thing with the second one. And position it underneath and over to the side a little bit. See if it looks straight and even with the other one. We're going to move it up a little bit, I think. Yeah. And then when you're happy with placement, you want to burnish it with your finger to make sure that that adhesive adheres. And sometimes I had, on this one, I had little bits of paper still of cardstock, and I just took my take your pick tool and I kind of picked them out. So if that happens, that's what you can do. And then I'm going to grab my Stampin' seal. And we'll put this on the card front. All right, pretty good. I think it is dry. And so that is card number 3. So again, the only thing I used extra was that stamp from that October 2020 paper pumpkin kit. And other than that, everything came from the kit except for the cardstock. So this is card number 3. Let me bring in the other ones. Here are both versions of card number 2. We'll move that up here. And this was the first card. And we'll also bring in, let's see, we'll bring in the tags. And so that is everything that we made today. I hope you like them. Let me know in the comments which card you prefer and which color scheme for the tag, and which card overall is your favorite. Because I appreciate always getting love in the comments or letting me know what you think, what you prefer. I appreciate you watching so much every month. Remember to check out my other videos, lots of cards, scrapbook pages, home decor items, tips and techniques, beginner videos. So hopefully you will find lots there that you could use in your own stamping. And I will see you again next month. Take care, everyone. Happy stamping.